A significant winter storm is preparing to move across the United States, and this particular system is expected to bring both heavy snow and hazardous ice. We are tracking a fast-moving low-pressure system that will strengthen as it travels from the Central Plains toward the East Coast, spreading a dangerous mixture of heavy snow and icy conditions from Kansas all the way through Maine. A widespread area of accumulating snowfall is anticipated, beginning in the Central Plains. This will extend all the way through New England, with many communities on track to receive 3 to 7 inches of snow. However, our biggest concern is a concentrated corridor of heavy snow from the Great Lakes to the northeast, where snowfall totals of 10 inches or more are certainly possible. Places such as Erie, Albany, Worcester, and Concord could be in line for over 12 inches of snow if the strongest bands of precipitation settle in place. For most winter storms, snow is typically the primary concern. But I want to draw your attention to something else, because this winter storm is going to produce a threat that is far more dangerous. That is correct. We are expecting widespread freezing rain, which will be a possibility across Arkansas, Kentucky, West Virginia, and even in the higher elevations of the Carolinas. Even a light glaze of ice can cause treacherous travel conditions. In southern Vermont, and also back over near Lake Erie, where there is a possibility for some lake-effect snow on top of what we are going to be seeing from the storm itself, it is definitely looking likely that we could have a few areas with significant snowfall accumulation. But across the board, once again, we expect a widespread 3 to 7 inches of snow, and then there will definitely be some areas that, yes, I am in a completely different setting today. Believe it or not, I am on a cruise ship at this moment, right in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. I am on vacation here for the next 7 days, but I will still be providing you with important weather forecasts as they are needed. And I believe this one is certainly needed, as we have a dangerous winter storm developing in the United States right now. So, let us get right into the forecast. Here's what the situation looks like this morning. We are already seeing some bands of moderate snowfall across parts of Kansas, with a little bit of freezing rain over in Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and southwest Missouri that is beginning to intensify. This is a significant concern for us throughout the morning and into the early afternoon. We are going to have this very light area of freezing drizzle and rain that is going to stretch all the way from Little Rock, Arkansas, back through Joplin, Missouri. This means that if even a small amount of freezing rain accumulates on the roadways, it will become very slippery out there on any untreated surfaces. And I am honestly very concerned that we are going to see a lot of that throughout the day today in Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and southern Missouri. As we approach the lunch hour, that area of snow is going to expand in size, stretching from central Kansas back into western Illinois. Freezing rain will continue to be a threat across northern Arkansas and southern Missouri, and then we will see just a great deal of heavy rain farther south toward the Gulf Coast. So, we are not expecting any sort of wintry weather back in Louisiana, Mississippi, or Texas. By the late afternoon, that snow is going to continue to grow in size. This is mainly because we have 2 different air masses that are coming together. We have one that is moving over the Rocky Mountains and another one coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. All of that moisture is going to merge into one large storm system as we go into late Monday night and into early Tuesday, which means that our snow is going to not just get larger in size in terms of, covering multiple states. It is also going to be coming down even heavier. So, we will start to deal with heavy snowfall as we go into the evening hours on Monday across Illinois and even over near Indianapolis. Then, freezing drizzle will continue to be a threat in far western Kentucky, near areas like Mayfield, as well as southeast Missouri and northeastern Arkansas. Over near Jonesboro, we could even have a brief period of freezing rain, which means ice accumulation is a distinct possibility on untreated roadways. This is especially true as we head into late Monday night and early Tuesday morning. That snow is going to grow in size even further. Notice all of those dark blue shades that are appearing all across the Ohio Valley. That is an indication of much heavier snowfall, and snowfall rates will be as high as 2 to 3 inches per hour. This is going to be a rather intense winter weather event. But the good news for those of you who do not want snow is that this is a very fast-moving low-pressure system. So, for most of you, this will only last about 4 to 6 hours. This snow is also going to be quite wet, which means it will not accumulate very quickly on the ground. However, this will certainly add to the snow totals that we just received over the last couple of days, where many of you saw record-breaking snowfall amounts for the month of November. This includes areas near Fort Wayne, Indiana, and even back over in central Illinois near Springfield and St. Louis. Then, during the overnight hours, we are going to have some freezing rain across parts of Kentucky, southern Ohio, and even back over just west of Nashville. Again, it is going to be very, very light, but it might just be enough to make some roadways slick out there. It is not going to accumulate into an ice storm, for example, because of how quickly it is moving. But what will become dangerous is that on the backside of this low-pressure system, we have freezing rain, and then we have all of this moderate to heavy snowfall. So, we could have a little bit of black ice on Tuesday morning, which means on top of that, we could even have some snowfall accumulation on the roads. So there could be a double-edged sword, essentially, in some locations where there is a very thin layer of ice, and also some snow that could lead to some schools being canceled, or at least delayed on Tuesday morning. That heavy snow will all move into the northeast on Tuesday morning. This is by around 7 o'clock in the morning. We will have snow covering all of Pennsylvania, New York, and also moving into New England. Then, eventually, during the afternoon hours, we are talking about some very heavy snowfall across parts of New York, back over near Albany, and even back over near Worcester in Massachusetts. There could be some moderate to heavy snowfall. You folks, however, are going to be right on the line between rain and snow. Then, over in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont, a quick-hitting nor'easter is going to be happening during the daytime on Tuesday. Then, by Tuesday evening, most of the snow is going to wind down. It will still be snowing across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont all the way through about midnight. But if you are anywhere else in the Northeast, all the snow is basically going to be finished by the evening hours. So, this is going to be a very quick-moving nor'easter, but it is certainly going to cause some significant problems. Now, let us talk more about how much snow and ice will come out of this winter storm over the next couple of days. Beginning with our snowfall accumulation across the Central Plains and the Midwest. For the most part, we are talking about a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. Parts of Kansas could actually have isolated areas that receive near 5 inches of snow back in central Kansas. But generally speaking, it is going to be a pretty fast-moving system. We are not really talking about a major winter storm in Missouri, Kansas, or even western Illinois. But again, for those of you in Illinois and also Indiana and Ohio, a lot of this snow is just going to accumulate on top of what we already have on the ground in these areas. We are expecting at least a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. I do think it is realistic to see around 3 to 6 inches, and perhaps even close to 4 to 8 inches of snow in parts of central and eastern Indiana and western and northern Ohio. So, there is definitely some hope there if you were looking forward to more snow. I do believe that any farther to the south, like over near Nashville for example, I do not really see there being much snow. We could have some snow flurries on the backside of the storm during the early morning on Tuesday, but there is almost no chance that we are actually going to see significant snowfall accumulation in Tennessee. Then, back over in the Northeast and also the eastern Ohio Valley, and even through the Mid-Atlantic, we are talking about some much better snowfall totals across these areas. And one area that is definitely trending upward in terms of snow compared to yesterday is Pennsylvania, as well as New York, and even parts of New England, where we will likely see at least 4 to 8 inches of snow. I do think it is on the table that we could see some localized areas near 10 to 12 inches of snow, especially if those stronger bands end up aligning correctly. That is a possibility in southern Vermont, and also back near Lake Erie, where there is a possibility for some lake effect snow on top of what we are going to be seeing from the storm's snowfall. It is definitely looking likely that we could have a few areas with significant snowfall accumulation. But across the board, once again, a widespread 3 to 7 inches of snow is expected. And then there will certainly be some areas that fall into the 6 to 10 inch range. Again, isolated locations with over 10 inches definitely cannot be ruled out. But all in all, this is a nice winter storm to begin the season across the Northeast. Another big concern of mine with this winter storm is the threat of ice accumulation. Though this is not going to be a full-blown ice storm, there is a legitimate risk today and into early tomorrow that there will be some ice across parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, western Tennessee, and back into Kentucky. And this is not going to be completely widespread, but it will be numerous enough to the point where any untreated roads could easily become slick out there. I am a bit nervous that we are going to have some accidents today because of this ice across Arkansas. So, please make sure if you have any intention of traveling over the next 24 to 48 hours, you are taking it very slow out there. This is especially true in Arkansas or really anywhere that you see any of this pink shading on the map. Keep in mind, we can still see ice accumulation outside of this area. And again, for most of you, this is not like 1/10 of an inch of ice, at least in these areas. This is only up to about, 1/20th of an inch of ice. It might not sound like much, but again, it only takes a glazing of ice, which is less than 1/100th of an inch, for there to be slick roadways, and that could easily happen out here on untreated roads in the Ozarks. Then, back over on the East Coast, this is where there is a more legitimate chance for more significant ice accumulation. By no means is this a big ice storm either, but we are likely going to see at least some scattered locations pick up around 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation from the freezing rain across areas in the Appalachian Mountains. Eastern Kentucky could also see some ice accumulation as well, up to about 1/20 of an inch of ice. But the important point with ice accumulation like this is that we have the potential for isolated power outages, especially in the Appalachian Mountains, and travel impacts are certainly on the table. So, please make sure that you are staying safe out there over the next 48 hours. Now, beyond this winter storm, we are going to have some more problems later this week, but nothing really major in terms of. Now, for Wednesday, we are not expecting any significant snowfall, although there will be some light snow across the upper Midwest and also in the Rocky Mountains. However, I believe we will need to turn our attention to the Gulf Coast by Thursday and Friday for our next storm system to begin developing. This system will position itself right over the southern plains late on Thursday, where heavy rainfall and even some isolated severe weather will be possible, all situated beneath a high-pressure system. That area of high pressure will be building across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Then, as we move into late Friday and Saturday, a more legitimate threat of isolated severe weather could exist right along the Gulf Coast. We might also see some freezing rain and snow extending as far south as North Carolina and Virginia, and perhaps once again in the mid-Mississippi Valley on Friday. This is a situation we will certainly need to monitor very closely. By Saturday and Sunday, right around next weekend, conditions could become a bit more active, with the potential for another significant round of snow across the Midwest, perhaps bringing around 3 to 6 inches. As we look ahead into the following week, please keep in mind this is a long-range forecast. However, one of our main forecast models is indicating that our mid-December weather could be quite active across the United States. We could have a couple of large storm systems on our hands. A great deal will depend on what happens over the Pacific Ocean during the next 7 days or so. If we see a strong atmospheric river event in the Pacific Northwest, we could have a pattern similar to what we observed over the last 7 days with 2 different winter storms. One of those storms, you may recall, was in the Midwest, and the other one ultimately affected the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. It is also a good time to remember that meteorological winter officially began today.